You know, people are so ignorant sometimes that just gets on my freaking nerves. Hey guys, my name is Dave and welcome to another video. I was originally going to start a new Let's Play today, but something came up, something that I really needed to talk about because, oh my gosh, something I came across on my private account. For those who don't know, I have a secondary account called Laughing Dolphins that I use for the sake of pleasure watching on YouTube. Sometimes I'll be watching random episodes of Angry Video Game Nerd. I'll watch. I'll even. So I do watch some stuff on this channel, like my friend D9, user D9, who go subscribe to him if you haven't yet. He makes beats every single day through live stream. He's been doing this for years on end, about much longer than I have actually. Um, he makes beats. He does retro gaming, kind of like me, but he doesn't focus entirely on that. He focuses more on the beat making. That's more his forte. Um, he also does like topics like this while streaming. All three of these are done during live streams with a fantastic community. So go check him out if you haven't yet. He's aiming towards 50K at the end of this year. Let's see if we can get him there, if not further. Anyway, that's really the stuff that I usually watch on this channel, where anything else usually ends up, if I remember to swap to that account, will be watched on that Laughing Dolphins account, including some stuff that my friend Aaron sends to me at times. And one of the things he sent to me was a video about, um, well, the fact that more than half of, well, not the fact, but the claim that more than half of America is struggling to pay bills and save money. Okay, the person who did the research for this is supposed to be like an international news report, um, but realistically, the word "and" should not have been used there. It would have been a little bit more accurate for that news report if that word was "or," because the people who are struggling to save is much higher, but they still have so much that it's not that big a deal a lot of the time. But those who don't struggle to save, well, those individuals still somehow, from what I've heard, this is like a small fraction though. But those who don't struggle to save are, well, they're like first class. They're up there anyway. They're all over the place. Now, this seems all an all over the place statement, but this video I don't think is 100% inaccurate. I don't think it's 100% inaccurate, but it's not accurate either. I actually looked up the data on this. I did my own research on this, and actually, the number of people who are struggling to make ends meet, like who are, I would say, low tier middle class or, homeless, because either they don't even try or whatever other reason they may have, is like 11%. That's it. The number may seem like more than half, but, and this is just in the US, mind you, I actually did some extensive research. If they had said more than half of the world, they would have been a little bit closer to accurate, but it still would have been wrong. Now, on a psychological standpoint, before we continue, the reason this is said is because of the fact of whenever someone looks at negative topics versus the positive aspect of it, the negative always overpowers and overshadows the positive, even if the positive number is more. So that's probably what triggered this claim. The claim is technically inaccurate. There are a lot of people who struggle to make ends meet, but it's only like in the entirety of the world's populace of 7.1-ish billion people, it's about 20%, I'd say. I'd have to relook it up, but it's somewhere around that. But anyway, so this is inaccurate. Now, I don't think it's intentional. It's a psychological thing, like I said. So I go to the comments section to see what they have to say about it. And one commenter says America is not alone. Everyone is struggling. That's the exact comment they made. In fact, I have the comment. I'm looking at it to make sure I get on my phone to make sure I get the comments right on the YouTube app. And this person gets a response that says, simply, you lie. The person who commented never claimed the same claim of it's more than half. They only said what I said they did, that everyone is struggling. Now, if you take this claim way too literally, which I don't think that's what they were saying at all, then sure, that would be a lie, but because obviously not literally everyone is struggling. I didn't take it as literal, but I'm pretty sure this person was dumb enough to take it as literal. Now, I'm not going to show the comments on here or name them because I don't want to lash at anybody. I'm not trying to directly call anyone out for dumb claims or anything. That's also why I never claimed who commented it directly. If you guys find this video and you see it, then you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to do this. I'm not trying to be blasphemous here or be like directly shoot someone down kind of thing. That's the main reason why I do this. But I respond to this in the comment, and the exact wording I say is, and I quote, actually, this is pretty accurate as long as you're not talking about every teeny tiny person. Realistically, everyone who doesn't make a certain number per year is going to struggle. And that aspect applies to a lot of people in this world. Obviously not everyone, but there's a reason the middle class is going extinct as a whole. You are either rich or poor nowadays. Now, obviously some of this statement that I said, end quote, obviously some of this statement that I said is a little bit, I'm not trying to be a precise, I'm saying this in a very slightly over-exaggerated way. The part that is true in that statement, though, to me, is that yes, there are a lot of people who are struggling. And yes, it doesn't apply to everyone. That's why I said a lot and not most. Like whoever titled the video said being inaccurate, but a lot. That part, yes, is true. However, there are still a lot more who are not struggling. That I'm admitting, and I know is true. But when you look at the big picture, 7.1 billion people, if about 20% of that, more or less, somewhere in that range, is struggling, that's a lot of people. And it does make it seem like you're either rich or poor. There's not really, and I claim the middle class is going extinct. It's because less and less and less people really categorize as middle class. It's not extinct. It obviously still exists. I'm middle class. But there are not very many people who are. Not as much as it used to be. So, what was their response? This comment is why I made this video, because I found this to be so stupid. But they said, and I quote, I can't even take you seriously. Turn honest, and then we can debate any subject. Until then, you have zero credibility. End quote. I doubt this person's even going to come across this video, but we'll see. You make a claim like that without any supportive evidence at all. What's going through people who do this' head? That's what I want to know. What are they thinking? Are they like just scourging out different comment sections to make sure that they let it known that they must be hated on? Is there like the IHC, the International Hate Community? I feel like that should just be a thing. Is this person part of the IHC? Wait, is the IHC an actual thing? I don't know. I'll have to look, I'll have to look that up later. Because I don't usually edit these videos. What you always see is just raw. So there's not any edits, there's nothing to show for it, but I don't know. If that is an actual thing, let me know. But I feel like if it's not, it should be. The international hate community. But anyway, my response to this, because I wasn't going to just not respond to this, I said, I am capable of backing up my claim, which I said at the beginning of this video. I did do a little bit of digging to make sure that my claims were at least somewhat accurate. Obviously, they were over-exaggerated to a fault because of, again, psychology, but they're still somewhat more or less accurate. And this person, well, I never finished my actual statement. My full statement was, I am capable of backing up my claim, but can you give proper proof to back up your counter argument? I'm trying to be reasonable with them, because I don't know. I was thinking, well, maybe they did have some kind of proof or something, and they just didn't say it yet. What this guy said next really triggered me, because it just shows how dumb some people are. This person said, I have arguments with humans, honest humans. I don't argue with dolphins or dishonest people. Not worth it. I see that and go, this is what my brain thinks. You know, I can't tell whether you think I'm an actual dolphin or not. And dolphins are, for those who don't know, studies have shown dolphins are much smarter than humans are. So, I mean, if dolphins could type, I wouldn't be surprised, and could get on YouTube and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did outsmart this guy. But I'm going there just thinking, so I'm trying to be reasonable with you, simply just asking for some kind of proof, and you can't even provide that. Instead, you try to turn this thing into an argument, which a lot of people seem to like to do with me for one reason or another. I don't know why, but it's like they look at me and go, I need to argue with that guy. Trust me, you piss me off, you're not going to like the result. But this just irritates me. It triggers some of the nerves that you would have to be pushing for a lot verbally to push. And I don't directly get angry or anything, but still. This guy. I can't even begin to talk any further on how dumb this guy is. So what I just said, everything I had said beforehand, that was going to be my original comment. I was like, if you are really stupid enough to think that I'm an actual dolphin, then I was going to point out he's probably like dumber than some. I was trying to think what animal is considered very dull-minded. I was actually originally going to point out something like you must have the brain of a goldfish. But even though their brains are small, they're actually for what it's worth, they're pretty smart. They don't have much to work with, so they are pretty dull-minded still, though. You know, because they easily fall for hooks. They're not good at checking their surroundings, unlike dolphins, whales, seagull. Well, yeah, seagulls to a fault. Sharks, bigger fish as a whole, and I know seagulls aren't fish, but that one did kind of come to my mind. Flock are pretty smart. But anyway, these individuals, yeah. So I'm like, these fish are pretty smart, but like smaller ones, very dull-minded. And I wanted to make some kind of comparison, but I didn't. My I was so triggered by this that it's like, how stupid are you? Do you live under a rock? Like, people like this, I am never going to understand. They didn't even try to provide evidence. Like what I talked about earlier, I did do research. I know for a fact that I think it actually is a little less than 20% of the whole 7.1 populace of the world, 7.1 billion populace of the world. I think it's gotten little lower since because a lot of recent, apparently divorces are increasing in rates, um, and a lot of them go without having children. But anyway, yeah, this guy, I wanted to say so many things just to burn them, but I inevitably only ended up saying, believe what you want. I am not arguing with the child or childish person, because just to simply say, they could have simply just said, all right, fine, I won't prove anything, but I do know enough people who don't struggle with this, who don't even come close to struggling, which, great, that would have been enough. Say that, I'm like, okay, you know what? Fair enough. End of story. But this guy had the gall to just lash back instead of simply saying something like that. That's what I would have said. My dad, for example, he makes way more than enough. He's also more experienced in the process of saving. He doesn't struggle with this. He's not part of this, admittedly, compared to the grand scheme of things, small number of individuals who do struggle. He doesn't struggle whatsoever. My mom, she's a teacher, one of the lowest paying jobs on the frickin' planet. She does not struggle at all. A lot of people who have salary jobs do not struggle. And it's understandable why. They make way more than enough to get by. Unfortunately, those who don't make salary, those are the ones who struggle. And the number of people who get paid hourly, or for things like Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, which is another variant of Uber, for those who don't know, Uber Eats, Grubhub, delivery services as a whole, whether they're delivery services, taxi services, stuff like that. People who run these kind of services are included in this. People work fast food, retail. Those who fall under these categories, people work for Amazon, for example. A lot of them struggle. Basically, if you follow hourly wage, you're struggling. And the number of people who have these kind of jobs is increasing more and more and more and more. That's where this number of struggle comes from. And I know this because of the fact that when you look at the world nowadays, there are a lot of people who work either retail or at bazaars if you're in the right locations, or like just stuff like this. It's just growing in numbers. Because, I mean, people are just getting back into the world still. I mean, it takes a while for people to get back on their feet after events like COVID. And, I mean, slowly but surely, that number is still growing right now. But if I'm being realistic, that number will eventually come to a standstill and shrink again. It's just going to take a while. That's the one thing that no one acknowledged. Not even me. But at the moment, it wasn't really necessary to acknowledge it at the time. I just didn't think so. Now, eventually, this did kind of extend a little bit. And I will say this, the original commenter, you have a good sense of humor. But someone commented after what I said, simply, and they were pretty reasonable. This is why I didn't respond. I didn't respond after this. This person was pretty reasonable. They said another individual who wasn't any of the three mentioned so far, including myself, said every country is the same in economics, and to a fault, this is more or less true. It's kind of because it follows a pattern of the higher the population, the greater that percentage I mentioned earlier becomes. Well, duh. I mean ratios. Ratios raise the more the n number raises, the more that other number will raise. It's duh. Now, how much it raises obviously depends on circumstance, but it still will raise. And the original commenter actually responded to that, saying all of this, saying censorship here sucks, and laughs. Like I said, if you see this video, man, you got a good sense of humor. I actually kind of chuckled seeing that. I'm like, yeah. And another final commenter responded, but with all this, by saying, what's the solution? And the original commenter ends this whole spiel by simply saying, wrong person to ask, bud. I'm neither a politician or economist. I almost said that wrong. Economist, which, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Now, this is where this stream of conversation ends. But the fact that it started with someone who was just super ignorant and basically living under a rock, not being able to see the fact that a lot, again, not most, that claim was inaccurate, admittedly, but a lot of people are struggling. And the claim that this is a problem across the world is not inaccurate. Again, it's not most, sure, but it is a lot of people. And that number is, and this claim is accurate, is rising. For the time being, at least. But the fact that this guy was dumb enough to come around and just claim that a lie with no, not even if this person had just circumstantial evidence, not completely definitive, but just simple circumstantial evidence, I would have even accepted that. At least it's something to give him reason to believe it a lie or not true. But the fact that this person just downright goes, you're a liar, without any kind of evidence whatsoever, I hate it when people do that. I used to do that myself, and I've said this before, I hate my past self for that kind of thing. I would never talk about it on here very often. In fact, I don't think I ever talked about that kind of thing on here. But I hate my past self for that kind of thing. And I despise people who do it now. Or should I say I despise their actions? I'm not the kind of person to hate people directly. Again, unless that people is me. Because English. But still, just the fact that people are ignorant enough to do stupid stuff like this, at least do it with some kind of supportive evidence. That's not much to ask. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this just because of all the hoo-ha going on, and like it's insane that people can't just simply do that in my mind. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I will reiterate the same thing from my end. I'm not a politician. I don't know much about politics or economics. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I claimed, I had to do some digging on to make sure I wasn't making some kind of inaccurate statement. I don't remember the percentage of like the population of the whole world of who's struggling. I just remember it being pretty large for what it's worth. I do remember it being somewhere around the 20% mark. But anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on this whole situation? How do you guys feel about people like this? Or if you don't want to respond to that, how do you feel about the whole? What are your guys' thoughts on like how drastically people are struggling? I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. Unlike that one, I'm not going to respond this time. I'll see it, and if I agree or think that it's reasonable, I'll give it a like. I might respond to something like that. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what you guys think. Let me know down there. Anyway, I think I've vented enough. Thanks for listening to my 24-minute rant. But yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, this is probably something I may continue doing on the first of the 4 days. Let me know if you guys have any topics you'd like me to talk about, and I might be willing to do that. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all later. Bye, guys.